Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up, a special report. Multiple NFL teams have expressed interest in Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'll break down what those teams are, what's the likelihood of Chip going to those teams, and is Chip Kelly the top option for the Houston Texans, or is he just one of the front runners? Because I talked to an inside source that I have with the Houston Texans, and his answer might surprise you later on in the show. So let's get right into the brass of everything. Make sure you hit that sub button, hit the like button. Doing an at-home video. It's one of my off days, so I wanted to get y'all some Texans coverage still, so making today's video. 3 teams reportedly interested in Chip Kelly. There might be more, but these are the top 3 teams that I've heard that have been, circling Chip Kelly as their next OC. The Jaguars, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Houston Texans. Those are the 3 teams that I've heard have interest in Chip Kelly and have wanted Chip Kelly so far this offseason. Now, I want to break down first the Jaguars. I just don't get this one at all, right? Like, they just hired Liam Coen to be their head coach. Liam Coen is a offensive mind. He's a guy who wants to call the plays. So where does Chip fit in with the Jags? I mean, I get it. He wanted, a first-time head coach in Liam Coen. You want him to have, somebody else on the sideline who has more experience, who's been a head coach before, who's been an offensive play caller before, that can help him kind of install whatever he needs to with this offense. But if I'm Chip Kelly, are you even really interested in that job? Because you have other jobs offers on the table where you could be the offensive play caller. You don't have to, answer to the head coach who's also an offensive mind. You are the number 1 offensive mind in the building if you go to some other places, like the Bucs, like the Texans. So the Jags, that just doesn't really make any sense to me. I mean, I see the reports. I've seen, Jags beat writers talk about, Chip Kelly could be a name to keep in mind. I don't take those seriously. I don't think that is the job offer that Chip Kelly's going to look at. So that brings the other 2. We have the Texans and the Bucs. And before I begin talking about the Bucs, get in the comment section, let me know. Which do you think is a better job offer? Do you think it's the Tampa Bay Bucs or the Houston Texans? And really, we're just looking at the 2 offenses. You think the Tampa Bay Bucs offense with Baker Mayfield, a veteran, and you have a really good O-line there in Tampa Bay. You have Mike Evans. You have a couple of good running backs there. Or the Houston Texans with promising C.J. Stroud. You have a young Nico Collins under contract. Joe Mixon looked really good this past year. O-line, at best. But I want to know from you. If just unbiased, I know a lot of people are probably going to say Texans, but let me know why. Would you rather pick the Bucs offense or the Texans offense if you were Chip Kelly? Now, an SI article that I read basically stated that he would be interested if the Bucs reached out. And I think it makes a lot of sense for Chip to also consider the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well as the Houston Texans, because I think they're both really good job opportunities. I mean, if I had to answer that question, which one was the better opportunity, I might swing Bucs, and I'll tell you why. Because very important. My same inside source that I was talking to, about the Texans OC position, he gave me this nugget around Chip Kelly, in that his end goal is he wants to be a head coach in the NFL again. He wants to be a head coach before it's all said and done. And if I'm Chip Kelly, if I'm looking at it, the Texans, they just fired their OC. The Bucs, their past 2 OCs have become head coaches. Dave Canales with the Carolina Panthers, and now Liam Coen with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So if Chip Kelly's looking to make that jump to be a head coach, Tampa might be an intriguing option for him, because the Houston Texans, as good of a job offer as it is, and as I think it is going to be a coveted one, even if it's not Chip Kelly among other top candidates, at the end of the day, you have a Tampa Bay offense, which I think is a little bit more put together, that you can mold a little bit, where the Texans is a little bit more boom or bust. I think it has potential to be much better than the Buccaneers offense, because you have C.J. Stroud, in my opinion, a top 10 quarterback in this league when he gets protection, when he has time. I mean, we all saw him make miraculous plays throughout the entire season. But with the Bucs, you have an O-line, you have playmakers. I think that might be another good option for him as well. All I'm saying is Chip Kelly has options, and the Texans do too. And coming up in just a moment, according to my sources, Chip isn't necessarily the top option in Houston. He is not the number one option in Houston. I'm going to give you some names that you should be keeping an eye out for coming up. But quick, got to show some love to the sponsor of the program. That is Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. It's playoff time. So get in on the action and win real money. All you got to do is put 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. All you got to do that, pick more or less on it. And in today's game, the Eagles Commanders, they are having an insane promo. Jaden Daniels only has to throw 1 passing yard for a win. 1 passing yard. You pair that with another stat projection, you win that. Easy money right there. And for the big game coming up, they'll have that same promotion as well for whatever 2 teams get in there, whether it's the Eagles, Commanders, or Bills or Chiefs. They got you covered if you're trying to win real money during the playoffs. So download the Prize Picks app, use code CLNS, $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS, $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Get started today with Prize Picks. Run your game. Thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. So, obviously, the Texans have interest in Chip Kelly, but I'm told he's not a front runner right now, or he's one of the front runners, but he is not the top option. I'm being told that Clint Kubiak is looked at as maybe the top option in Houston to be that next OC. He's interviewed with the Seahawks and the Browns for their OC positions already, was the Saints offensive coordinator last year, had experience working with DeMeco in San Francisco, where they were both on that coaching staff under Kyle Shanahan, and he's a experienced play caller. He's called plays at multiple spots. He's also worked with multiple teams in the past. So that could be a really good option for the Texans. I'm being told that he is strongly considered as one of the top guys for the Texans OC search. Some other names that I'm being told that are really also front runners for this Texans OC job and we need to keep an eye out for. Another name we got to watch is Darrell Bevell, the QB coach for the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, there's that connection again. He works with the Dolphins with Mike McDaniel, who comes from the Kyle Shanahan tree. Both have those connections with DeMeco Ryans. He's a really good option there. And, I mean, close your ears. Apparently, he had a pretty good connection with Jack Easterby. He's a very religious man. And I know whenever I say that name, everybody's going to freak out. I don't think it should be a horrible freak out thing. I would say it's more of just like he's a religious man, and Easterby was a pastor with the Texans. So I think he's another offensive mind where I wouldn't be surprised if you hear his name coming up more and more often as we get closer to the Texans naming their OC. And the other one, Nick Caley, the pass game coordinator for the LA Rams. Now he's, among others, one of the top options to be the Jets offensive coordinator with Aaron Glenn, the new head coach over there. Shout out to Aaron Glenn, Texans legend. But Nick Caley, he's another guy. Comes from that, works with Sean McVay, from that Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay tree over there on the West Coast. I think he could be another option that is seriously considered. And, obviously DeMeco has some semblance of who he wants. He wouldn't fire Bobby Slowik, somebody who he's pretty close with. This was a hard decision for DeMeco to make, to let go of Bobby Slowik. They were pretty close. He brought him over with him from San Francisco. So I don't think he wanted to let him go. I think he knew it was a tough decision, but one that he needed to make for this team. But he wouldn't have made that decision too if he didn't have some people in mind already to replace Bobby Slowik. Because Slowik, he's going to get another job somewhere. He's going to be either, an OC, a QB coach, something, offensive coach for some team, and I think he's going to find success eventually in the NFL and be an OC again, and maybe a head coach. He got a ton of head coach interviews last offseason. So I still think Bobby Slowik has a bright future, but DeMeco wouldn't make these moves if there wasn't somebody in mind, and I really think Chip Kelly, Clint Kubiak, Darrell Bevell, Nick Caley, those 4 names you have to consider as top options for this Texans OC search. Now, I'll be making videos all week like this on the latest Texans news and rumors, so make sure you hit that sub button. And if you're watching Championship Sunday today, Eagles, Commanders, Bills, Chiefs, we will have chat sports channels live for all those games. So I know a lot of y'all like my watch parties that I do for Texans games. We'll have our Eagles channel, our Commanders channel. They'll be doing watch parties. So if you want to join in those, I highly recommend you do. Just search Eagles Chat Sports, Commanders Chat Sports. They'll come up. If you want to join us for our watch parties, later on in the night too. I help produce for our Raiders channel. So our Raiders channel is going to be going live for the Chiefs game. We have a Chiefs channel as well, a Bills channel. So, just consider watching a little bit of that Championship Sunday with Chat Sports. If you're interested in some of those watch parties, like I said, just search Eagles Chat Sports, Commanders Chat Sports, Chiefs Chat Sports, and those watch parties will come up for you. Tailgate-like atmosphere, just kind of like how I do for Texans. I mean, just not as good because they won't have me, right? So, but for real, go check them out. My man Chase holding it down with the Eagles channel. I know Sperry doing real good stuff with the Commanders channel as well. So go watch them on their watch parties and stay tuned for the rest of the week for the latest Texans news and rumors.